Hello, I wanted to do this video. I wasn't planning on doing it, but I have to. Um, I finished Malcolm in the Middle last night. Actually, this morning, trying to get technical, I finished it like 2 something in the morning. Um, and it's one of my new favorite shows. Like, I've heard that people don't really like the last 2 seasons, even like season 5 all that much, but I loved every episode, every season. I just thought it was just brilliantly done. Um, and like, it's such a dysfunctional family, and just watching it, I come from a dysfunctional family, not to that degree, but I do, and it's just like dysfunctional families are my favorite. I love like the close families too, which is like, but like the wholesome ones, but dysfunctional families. I just feel like there's a lot more humor involved in like shows or movies of dysfunctional families. There's so much humor and fun in those kind of movies and TV shows. Um, but it was like oh, wonderfully written family dynamics. Like the brothers, they were fights, but they are still so close in their own ways. And I loved the relationships between them. I loved seeing that relationship grow into like friends in a in some like, but the reason Malcolm, at least, they became like friends with each other towards the end, and I loved seeing that develop. And they were kind of close in the throughout the series, but I just love to see that grow, that relationship grow into like a closer brotherly relationship and like a friendship. And I loved that so much. I loved Malcolm's relationship with all his brothers, but he and Reese just had got along so well. And I don't know if that's Frankie Muniz and Justin. I always forget his last name, but he played Reese. I don't know if they were just good friends off camera, and that's why they had them do more scenes than some of the other actors on on the show. But they just got along so well. The chemistry with everyone was so good, and they felt like a real family. Um, and of course, he had Bryan Cranston as Hal, and then he went on to play Walter White. And it's funny because I was like watching it, and you're thinking he's so goofy and weird. How did they think that he could play Walter White? There's like so many times where like Hal like undermines people, and he had all these schemes, and he breaks the law sometimes. So so then I'm like, okay, well, you strip away like him being like the goofy guy, and like underneath it, he had the ability to be like an evil genius if he really wanted to be. So I could see where they got the Walter White um, character out of him from. But I love Lois and Hal's relationship. It's one of the best marriages on TV. I know Hal could be very immature and like she can't, but their relationship just like was so easy, and like there were so many moments. I watch a lot of sitcoms where how the typical like he's a moron husband thing, and I expected of Lois to like chew him out or like not like it, but it would turn her on instead, which I thought was really funny. And it just like they just accepted each other no matter what. Like even if the one of them was like out of line, if somebody was to call the other one out on it, they would stick up for each other. Like people didn't like Lois, but like they liked Hal. But if they insulted Lois in front of Hal, he would never talk to that person again. And he was just so loyal to her, and he accepted her again, loved her, accepted her no matter what, and I just loved it. I loved his relationship with his children. Um, And again, he was very selfish. That's the whole thing. Like the parents are very like not the best parents in the world, but they do care about their kids, and their kids are nightmares. So it's kind of like you kind of understand why Lois is like at the end of her rope all the time because they like drive her up the wall all the time so much. But I love the relationship between Hal and his kid, especially Francis and Dewey. I thought that he and Francis and he and Dewey had a very sweet father son relationship, as sweet as it can could have been, at least. But I think he and Francis were like the best of friends, and I loved the interaction they had. I thought they like it's interesting with Dewey. He was close with him, but he also kind of took advantage of him sometimes and stuff like that. But he was still I still thought they were very close. And but then with Francis, he had more respect towards him, probably because he's an adult. But I just like interesting dynamic. I love Lois's relationship with Malcolm. Um, just they got as it moved along, they got closer. Um, I loved that in the last season, her and Reese got closer. Um, and that they committed a crime together against someone. That was really fun. I loved. Well, I don't really think I don't. Like, I saw the whole thing, but I can't really picture her with Dewey in like a mother son way. That's like really sweet or cute. But Jamie, I didn't mind him at all. I'm not a kid person. Like a lot of the time when like a couple on TV gets has a baby, I get annoyed because I'm like, can somebody on TV just not have kid? Like, can that be a thing? But I I like Jamie. I thought he was cute. He didn't really add anything, but I don't care. Like I didn't really mind him at all on the show. Um, who else? Um, Francis. I wasn't attached to him as that much. He was fine, but when he was there, he didn't really add anything to it to me and for me. But I did like his relationship with his brothers and how close they were with him. Um, but I don't know. But I also loved how Lois could drive them like crazy. But again, like with Hal, like at the wedding, forget was it? Yeah, it was a wedding. No, it was a family reunion. It's like at Hal's house, and his family's really rich, and they don't like Lois, and they upset her, and the boys wreak havoc and destroy um, the table settings with a golf cart, and then they drown the golf cart in the pool. Like that was iconic, and like so it's like they're like the same when they do they get argue and they fight, but if one of them is being harmed or like looked down on by other people, they would defend that person. Like Reese caused a lot of trouble, but Malcolm would stick up for him if he felt like he was being mistreated by people, and Reese would do the same for Malcolm. And it was just like, you could beat the tar out of each other, but nobody was allowed to hurt them besides each other. So, I also loved Dewey, Malcolm, and Reese. I loved when they started like getting in trouble together and doing their little like pranks and stunts, and um, I loved seeing that relationship. Like I said, this grow closer, and them just like liking being with each other and like causing all sorts of problems for people. I think my favorite character is Reese. It was Hal. I love Hal, but Reese really moved his way up to my favorite character on the show. Um, And I think the thing is that as chaotic as a character that he also for like getting to the end of the series, he is the kind of person that sees the good where nobody else would. And I think that's why I like him so much because he's never really a downer on much. Like he's like a person that causes trouble, but he makes things fun and he thinks out of the box on things and he finds the fun in anything. Like he can find the fun in any situation. Like he was a meat packer and he loved it. He was a telemarketer and he loved it. He was a janitor and he loved it. Like you know the jobs that you're supposed to like people are supposed to not want, I guess, he loved. He also loved what was it? He was exterminator, but I guess he didn't really like that job, but you would think he would have, but he didn't. But he took pride in like just again the stuff you're not supposed to. I guess with society standards. But he found everything so exciting for the most part. And he had such a good attitude. Like at the prom that Malcolm made for like to try to help the outcasts and Reese is having such a good time even though he knows that it's a joke prom, he still had a really good time. So like he really just like took everything in stride and like he got bullied and he got his feelings hurt and but then like instead of just like wallowing in it, he would get his revenge. And sometimes he took things a little too far, like bullying his toddler brother. But but at the end of it all, I do think he had a good heart, and he again like he just could see the fun in ordinary situations, and I think because of that, he Dewey and Malcolm had the best time, um, with him, and I think he made their lives a lot of fun. And then Malcolm, he could be really annoying to be honest, but I did again like I was with his brothers. Dewey was adorable. I loved Dewey. And I love that they let him be he was weird and he was sweet and he was the nicest out of them all to people. But he also didn't take a lot of crap from people either. Um, and I know like Lois is kind of a monster of a mother sometimes, but again, her kids are annoying and they're stupid and they don't listen and they do are very destructive. So I understand like where she comes from. I don't know so much, but I don't like she goes to the extreme because it's a comedy. But it's just I think she was again like she could come down hard on them, but if somebody was hurting them, she would like be she would go to bat for them every single time. Um, and she had no problem like just stick up for them in public if she felt like they were being attacked. But then in private, she would be like, "You're dumb." Like she would get mad at them. So she found. I felt at the toward the end because of getting older, she was a lot able to get along with her kids a little bit better. Um, she wasn't. She could admit when she like toward the end, she was a little bit more willing to like talk and admit that maybe she's not hasn't done things the way that she should have. Especially like I said when she told Reese, like apologized to Reese for not being a good mother to him because she realized she was like her mother and she turned Reese into like her and then got mad at him for it, took it out on him, and she apologized, and it was a great scene. It was also like Jane Kazmarek is good at the emotional stuff. She's so good at it, and she had like three emotional scenes, I believe. There could have been more, but from what I remember, there were like three real emotional scenes, and she did an amazing job with it. And I'm just gonna say it though. I feel like the actor who played Reese should have won an Emmy. I think he played Reese so wonderfully, and like I say, like Reese is my favorite, and I think he should have at least been nominated. He probably wasn't. He should have been, at the very least. Um, so yeah, if you haven't seen the show, you should. And for complete opposite spectrum of things, I'm watching the Brady Bunch now. Which is funny because the actor who played Reverend Alden in Little House on the Prairie played the minister in the first episode, and the actor who played Adam was the creator, Malcolm in the Middle, so there's a little bit of a connection between the two right now. And it's funny because Brady Bunch is the most wholesome show, and there's a laugh track, and it's the laugh track is throwing me off. Like I haven't watched a sitcom like this in a really long time, but I'm excited to watch Brady. I'm happy to watch it. I've seen episodes, but I haven't finished seeing the whole series, so I'm excited. So I'm gonna do an update on this because it's a Brady Bunch. But again, Malcolm in the Middle was amazing. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. I also love Stevie and Craig. And I love that I had Gloria Green as Lois's mom. There's also a cameo with Betty White, and there's a cameo with B. Arthur. So it's just like I love all three of them. But in any case, I think that's it. Yes. Goodbye.